Anybody ever waited for a movie so long that you're so excited for it, or a book or something like that? Like, you know it's coming and you want to see it? What's that movie for you? Yeah. What was it? Right. So really, really nerdy awesomeness that I also read. Me and him, we're together on that. I looked forward to Indiana Jones' Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for months. Months I looked forward to this. I've told this story before, but I have to tell it again. I looked forward to it, and I kept asking all my friends. I was like, hey, you guys want to go see Indiana Jones? And 29-year-old me, heart aflutter, I was excited. And they're like, no, we're going to pass. I'm like, what? It's the first Indiana Jones movie since The Last Crusade, man. It wasn't supposed to even happen. Are you going to go see it? They're like, no, we're really good. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So I bought tickets early because it was going to be packed because Indiana Jones. And we went 2 hours early and got very comfortable at the front of the line that we started, that nobody else joined. Literally, there were like 6 people in that theater. It was pretty sad. And the only thing that made it sadder was the movie itself. I left, honestly, just upset. It's like, how dare they do that to my beloved Indiana Jones? It's just not what I expected, right? They said, we're going to show you an Indiana Jones movie, and instead, I got something else, right? I got something else. I don't understand it. I was pretty upset. And then they came out with a 5th one not too long ago, and I had learned from my mistakes. So I bought tickets just an hour early. And I asked my friends if they wanted to go, and they laughed at me and hung up. That actually happened. And we only showed up 30 minutes before. And again, nope, this time the theater was full because the Indiana Jones bandwagon had come back. And I'm so grateful because it's such a great movie, right? It was the tale of, yes, it was. It was a tale of 2 Indiana Jones, right? It was what we expected to see versus what we saw. My first expectation was that it was going to be glorious because, let's face it, Sean Connery, Last Crusade, it won the Oscar for best movie ever. That's not an Oscar. Anyway. So I'm thinking it's going to be bad. I have to see it. It was amazing. So expectations high, let down high. Expectations low. Man, I was surprised. I bought that movie. So good. Two Gentiles come to one of the disciples of Philip, or to one of the disciples of Jesus, to Philip. They say, we want to see Jesus. There are 2 parts to this. I think the first is the expectation on behalf of the 2 that came, right? The 2 people that come, what are they expecting when they ask this question? And I have to ask myself that because it says now during the time of the festival. So 2024, Sean says, is there like a party going on or something? And like, this is an attraction? Has Jesus become an attraction? Like, hey, since we're here, let's check in on this Jesus thing, see what's going on. Like he's some kind of sideshow at a circus. That's the first part I wonder, right? But then the second part I have to wonder is, Jesus' deeds, have they gone so far wide and been so spread that they have now impacted a community far beyond the one intended? Is that why they're asking? I don't know their intentions. But those are the 2 choices. If it's the first choice and they're coming to see a show, how sad is that? I mean, seriously. They're coming to just kind of eat peanuts and watch a caged Jesus. Makes me mad. Makes me sad. It makes me think, God, if that's your reason for being here, go away. Jesus is not a spectacle. But if it's the second one, if it's that they really want to see Jesus, and they really yearn to see this man who has done these miracles, who has gone across the countryside performing things that people have not heard of since Moses, and who is doing so with a new way, and who is known to have God just randomly show up from the clouds. This is the third time in the scriptures, by the way, that God shows up and says something. I don't know if you've been counting. I know you have. No? Okay. First time is the baptism. God comes down from the clouds. What does he say? I am so proud of the Bible knowledge y'all got. Second time, when's it happen? Transfiguration. I'm gonna let you have a pass on that one, right? He goes up on the mountain with Peter, James, and John, and he's transfigured. Who else is on the mountain? Moses and Elijah, right? They're there. Importance. So God then comes down and says, "This is my son. Listen to him." Right? This is the third time God breaks open the clouds and says something to Jesus. What's he say? It's in the book in front of you. Right? That's it. I have glorified you, and I will glorify you again. Thank you, Corey. God shows up because this Jesus is not a spectacle to be made of. This Jesus is to be taken seriously. So I wonder on the other side, Philip, what Jesus is Philip going to let them meet? Which Jesus? Will he let the table flipping, cord whip making Jesus meet them? Or will he take them to the Jesus who wept at his friend Lazarus's death? Will they get to meet the Jesus who says, "These are not my family. Anybody who is here is my family"? Or will they take him to the Jesus who turns water into wine? What Jesus will they meet? I can't answer that for them, but I can answer for today. Do you come to church searching for Jesus? How many of you in your life say, "I want to see Jesus"? I say it. I say it all the time. I want to see Jesus. I want to see Jesus in traffic. I want to see Jesus in healing. I want to see Jesus in the war ongoing in the other parts of the world. I want to see Jesus every time I see somebody destitute and hopeless. I want to see Jesus in a hospital room. I want to see Jesus when the children come up here and their faces light up. I want to see Jesus in all those moments. But then there's the other side of that. How we convey Jesus. How are we showing other people who Jesus is? And I'm not just talking about the Church of the Resurrection. I'm talking about the church large. Are we taking holy moments and making them into something that they're not supposed to be? Do we do Lenten discipleship courses over political things, enforcing our own agendas, which really bothers me? Are we taking time in Sunday school to teach our way of Jesus, or are we just talking about the miraculous, life-giving, never-ending grace that Jesus Christ provides, and saying that over and over and over again until it sticks? Do we talk about a Jesus who only loves a certain few people if they love who they're supposed to love and live how they're supposed to live and give the right amount of money and all that stuff? Are we talking about showing people a Jesus who's there in the darkness, who parts the clouds, who much like God speaks down and says, I have glorified you in your creation, in my image, and I will do it again. Do we believe in a Jesus that is for everyone and not a Jesus small enough to fit in our pocket? Do we believe in a Jesus that we don't feel the need to bring up during an election season to use as a weapon? I worry about the church's response to the wider world when it comes to them asking us to see Jesus. Because I worry about what some of the churches are showing. Some churches show exclusion. Some churches show dislike. Some churches show that they worship at the altar of any finance institution that is the closest available. Some churches worship on social issues. When did we forget just to worship? When did we forget that a man incarnate from God walked this earth to give us a better way, and we just threw it away because we thought we found a better path? When did we think it was okay to allow people their space, not to infringe upon their rights, to talk about the good news of Jesus Christ? When did we think that was okay? The truth of the matter is that talking about Jesus Christ doesn't have to be done in a way that makes you feel awful about yourself. You should not come into a church and feel worse than before you arrived. You should not leave church saying, I wish I would have stayed home. You should always leave this place being uplifted, supported, loved, included, forgiven, and able to forgive. You should be able to come into this place, this house of worship, stand up and say the prayers, kneel and say your own, and come to the altar with people with whom you have absolutely nothing in common, and hold hands and say, we receive the body and blood together because we are one body, we are one blood, we are one church. There is one God, and that one God's name is Jesus Christ, my Lord. We have a job to do. And sure, we're going to need to raise money for different things. Sure, we're going to disagree with each other, especially in a year that is tense and rife with political polemic. It's going to be a tough year, folks. But guess what? We have Jesus. That's the Jesus I want to show, especially this year. When somebody comes to me and says, I can't believe you believe that, I'll say, I can understand why you would disbelieve that, instead of saying, well, you're wrong. Because I would rather include as many people possible into the kingdom of God as I can before I leave this earth than I would to be right. I don't need to stand up and shout out for certain groups of people because I'm going to do that for all people. The lost, the lonely, the left out, the marginalized, the rich, the happy, the joyous, the white, the black, the Latino, the Asian, and here's one for current times, the Jewish. We're about to embark in a book of John that says nothing but terrible things about the Jews for what they did. That's going to be hard. We're going to have to wrestle with that. But while we wrestle, it has to be a holy endeavor. We cannot simply stand and sit and kneel in our pews and think that we've done Jesus some kind of service. That extends out into the world. That moment happens even in our most broken times, when we remember who we are, who we're made to be. And you have a choice to make. Only you choose who you will be. But once you make that choice, don't let anything change your mind. If you say you will follow Jesus Christ, then you will follow him to the ends of the earth. You will follow him into slums. You will follow him into bars. You will follow him into office buildings. You will follow him into schools. You will follow him wherever you find him leading. We don't get to pick and choose parts of Jesus, because Jesus didn't just sacrifice a part of himself. He sacrificed everything. What are we willing to give up in order to take on the cross? What are we willing to die to be resurrected in the glory of the Father and of the Son and of that holy, blessed Spirit? That's the Jesus I want to see. And I hope that's the Jesus I show you.